I don't have all the answers for the PEP examination. I know that's a disappointment. People tend to want that. I think you just have to do a lot of hard work. It's a very passable test if you do the right kind of work, but if you just try to sort of bamboozle yourself through it, you'll make fundamental errors and will probably fail. I don't know how many people are in this group that are residing in states that already have prescriptive authority, which is clearly only Louisiana and New Mexico, but also there's Guam, and I want to recognize them, and there is some potential future for New Zealand to have prescriptions privileges for psychologists, and of course Illinois is very close right now. We're hopeful that maybe something will happen. We do desperately need to have another program or state to push forward a plan to get prescription authority in other states. We desperately need that. I was first licensed to prescribe in 2005, and for those of you who know me, you know the basic history here in Louisiana, and I was the first psychologist to write a prescription under a state law. And we've been prescribing now, I guess, 13 years. 8 years now. There have only been some minor incidences, no major lawsuits, no deaths that I know of, and everybody seems to have benefited by our services. The psychologists that are currently here in Louisiana, and I'm assuming this is a little bit similar to what's in New Mexico, the gravity and the severity of the pathology that you see is much greater once you start prescribing and people recognize that you prescribe. You will see more advanced cases, more recalcitrant cases, and while I'm a strong advocate of continuation of psychotherapy, you do have to really know your medicines in order to not do harm, and that's our primary goal. And that is the fundamental principle of the PEP. They want you to be safe. And it's APA's, the College of Psychology, that develops this examination, and they have the standard. The standard is essentially that you're not necessarily the best prescriber on the block, but you're not going to kill anybody. You're essentially safe. That's the difference. And people sometimes think of it as an expert exam. Well, it's not exactly modeled at that level. But I would urge you to learn a lot more beyond the level at which the exam asks you to be at. In other words, I would like you, if you're lucky enough to be in a state, and if you're active enough to get one going in your state, then hopefully you'll be an effective prescriber. And that is my goal in helping you learn how to pass the PEP. I don't know how often any of you prescribe if you're currently prescribing in a state, and I suspect not. If you're working under the government, you might be doing it in some way. And I have to wonder a little bit about the motivation for taking the PEP. I know there are some schools like Farley Dickinson that basically requires you to pass the PEP to get your degree. I'm not sure if there's anybody in this setting doing that.